ver, entonces... ¿qué
Tell
hace?
me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and they even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything from you?
A personal notebook they quickly took to their headquarters. All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course. I do ask one thing, though. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time, sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Here is the money.
Love. Pure and unseen. Untold. The two hearts love each other without knowing it. Without daring to admit it.
Can you read the cards for me?
Put the money on the table then, Jonathan. And open your mind.
Ya no puedo pagar.
Perhaps later. How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
A vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
I would rather not know. How did you learn about Mary? And spare me the hocus-pocus parlor tricks. The truth, now!
Swansea told me. Don't look at me like that. His task is to observe and gather information about vampires. He had to tell me about Mary.
Mary did not deserve her fate. She had already suffered enough during her life. And yet the pain and the suffering went on after her death.
Suffering is part of the immortal condition. Some prefer to lose their minds rather than face the simple truth. Pain will never stop.
May I ask you about the Brotherhood?
Of course. But I must warn you that there are some subjects we consider taboo, in spite of our fondness and acceptance of your kind.
Who founded the Brotherhood?
That's precisely the kind of question I cannot answer. It is delicate, and may reveal some of our secret traditions.
So you're not just a club of academics and scholars?
Once upon a time, very long ago, the Brotherhood did more than simply study the vampires. They took actions to eliminate the more ferocious and corrupted.
I know there is no love lost between the Guard of Priwen and the Brotherhood. What caused this rift?
It was 1801. The Brotherhood was stronger then. A strength that made them hungry for ever greater power. An argument divided them, and the wound never healed.
What was the nature of the disagreement?
The problem was that both sides considered themselves the legitimate heirs of the original Brotherhood. We divide up the books, the relics, not always fairly or with consideration.
Vale. Vamos a dejar eso así.
Have you any news?
What was his last thought?
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. Perhaps London will survive the epidemic, but I see
Déjenme revisar algo que nos podría ayudar para el arma poderosa. Ahora no sé ni en dónde es. ¿Tengo nada en inventario? Mira aquí. Vampiros legendarios. Este sería el 3. Necesito saber. ¿Dónde estaba la del pez? ¿Dónde estaba la del pez? Ese es el 1. Vamos a intentarlo.
6 el ron sería el orden exacto. Por lo tanto, desde aquí, para eso funcionaría, tendríamos que venir a pisar. Primero este, sería el pez. Vale. Seguimos aquí. Volveríamos a pisar otra vez aquí.
Chicos, vi un video en YouTube, lo seguí y ahora tenemos la espada legendaria. No esperaba que fuera así. ¿Por qué les explico esto? ¿Por qué me está dando gracia? Porque se supone que en cada partida cambia el orden de cómo pisar estas cosas, las trampillas. Entonces he estado viendo un video, vi el video que el primero era el pez. Luego yo me vine aquí a mis documentos, a estos. Le di aquí en vampiros legendarios. No, este no es. Era creo que este. No, era este. No, era este. No, era este. Este. Yo también aquí tengo un puntito. O sea, se dan cuenta, va subiendo de puntitos. Yo también tenía el mismo pez. Entonces dije, voy a seguir lo mismo que hace el del video, que él también tiene un pez al principio. Y resulta que ha funcionado. Necesitábamos realmente enterarnos de cuál era nuestra combinación a través de un coleccionable que todavía no tenemos. De hecho lo vamos a agarrar más adelante, que se supone que este adivino es el que nos guía hasta él en la caja de Pandora y todo eso. De hecho él nos lo va a dar o algo así. Entonces el chiste es de que creen, ya tenemos la espada. Fue chiripa, fue suerte. Yo pensé que no la iba a lograr conseguir porque no tenía todas las hojas, pero aquí está, miren. Tiene 200 de daño. Esa me parece que es a una mano, sí. Obviamente, miren, tiene el mismo daño que el sable perfecto que ya tenemos. Pero esta todavía no está mejorada al máximo. Y se supone que esta es la mejor arma del juego. Entonces, miren, vamos a equiparla. Vamos a probarla, a ver qué tal. Están los detalles, miren esto. Todavía le falta un nivel. Y podría aumentar a 235 de daño. Como ven. Ahora, ¿cuánto de daño tiene la esta? Bueno, es que mi mazo perfecto tiene 374 de daño. El problema de esto es que sí, es muy lento para atacar. Y también me baja resistencia. Vean, me baja 30 puntos de resistencia. Esta solamente baja 20, son 10 menos. Y la velocidad del ataque son 10. Y este es de 5, o sea, la mitad es la mitad más rápida todavía. Pero bueno, entonces vamos a dejarnos esta. Y de todos modos el mazo ahí lo voy a llevar, por si las moscas. Va. Pero bueno, miren, hasta eso tuvimos suerte. Vamos a continuar entonces con la historia. Que era algo que me preocupaba, no poder obtener esta espada. Y ya la tenemos. La espada del dragón de no sé qué. Vale, pues vamos entonces aquí. Que hay que ir a rescatar al buen Edgar. Oh, ¿qué les parece si mejor vamos a un escondite y mejoramos la espada a ver si se puede? Ah, de hecho aquí hay un escondite. Sirve que hurgamos, a ver qué hay por aquí. Me faltó ver ahí abajo, ahorita regreso. Vamos. Este lado, vamos a reabastecer todo. Ya tenemos munición de escopeta ya. A ver. Vamos a mejorar la espadita. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Dime que se puede. Se puede, claro que sí. Ok, ahora para esto necesitamos... Con esto aumenta el daño en un 10% y con esto... reduce el consumo de resistencia. Daño por resistencia. ¿Qué me conviene más? Creo que la resistencia. Pero necesitamos 5 placas de aluminio y tenemos solamente 1. Bueno, va a estar fácil conseguirla, la podemos comprar, tenemos dinero. Vamos a hacer unos sueritos, ¿no? Vamos a hacer uno de estos, que sean 2 de una vez. Vamos a hacer... Esta desconocida. Pues creo que vamos muy bien, Creo que vamos muy bien. Vale. Podría evolucionar, pero no. Vamos a hacer todo esto. Ya que nos enfrentemos como a otro jefe poderoso, ya ahí hablamos de evolución. ¿Qué les parece? Pues vámonos por aquí. Mejor por acá. Y tenemos que atravesar esto hacia la derecha. Subimos a la derecha. Nos vamos por el centro y todo hacia acá. Vamos. Ahora sí, por aquí. Vamos bien, sí. De hecho, ahí voy a seguir todo el camino y a la izquierda. O por la derecha, da igual. Tengo ganas de probar la espada, pero vamos a probar acá ya en combate. ¿Quién eres? Vamos a curarlo para que mejore la...
You're here,
I'm not
doctor.
Do you recall?
Not me.
Since I took an oath,
Well,
infecting you.
what?
Goodbye, Mr. B.
Así para que mejore la situación del distrito. Está bien. Igual y sería bueno hablar con ellos para que su sangre aumente.
Loretta, your miraculous formula wouldn't even cure a common cold, and you know it.
The Swamborough's cordial secret ingredient is hope, Doctor. And it's something people around here really need.
A placebo effect is real and has benefit. But in your case, you could be murdering your customers who may die because they are not receiving the necessary medical attention.
Medical attention? In Whitechapel? Trust me, my cordial is the best option they have, since it is the only one.
Well, as it is a placebo of sorts, perhaps it may have some positive effect.
See? You have to admit I'm doing some good. The Swamborough family is not poisoning anybody, Doctor.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
How is the sand?
When people...
Goodbye, Miss.
Subí algo, parece que no. Ok, luego ya que estamos aquí a la izquierda.
What we need is protection, not extortion.
Vamos a probar la espada. Ay, no, madre.
Watch out for
Vamos a darle medicamento.
Good evening.
Hello, Doc.
What are you doing now that Albert is dead?
One thing I learned from my time in France is how to kill. Now
I served in France too. Tell me about the war.
it was hell.
I tried to expand my knowledge to save lives. But sometimes that can lead to terrible mistakes.
Oh yeah, science can make mistakes for sure.
Si ya había hablado con él.
They said I was a coward. Then they sent me back to the front with a box of pills.
You don't seem well, Benjamin.
Oh,
I can try.
war.
Ya está. Sí,
Take
ya.
care.
Ah. Vámonos, vámonos, vámonos. Esto es para mejorar la situación de aquí del lugar. No me lo vayan a cerrar porque me acabo de comer al padrecito. Entonces hay que curarlos, mejorar la calidad de vida, la calidad de sangre. Nos vamos a evitar muchos problemas. Ok, por aquí abajo. Aquí siempre hay una bestia. Ahora no. Ven, vamos a probar la espada. Ah. Es buena. Estoy queriendo dispararle, pero no cargo balas. El único tema que le pondría es que a veces me gusta más el aturdimiento para poderlos morder. Tal vez por eso preferiría esto. O podría cambiar la escopeta. Esta tiene aturdimiento 35, absorción de sangre, aturdimiento. Esta directamente absorbe sangre. Esta conviene más. Por ejemplo, miren, podría cambiar esta por una X. Esta, por ejemplo. Podría ponerle la estaca de Charlotte. Así la podría dejar. Y ya si necesito escopetearlos, pues ya disparo con el otro. Tiene sentido lo que así, por ejemplo. Así y así. Ah, ok, solo con el botón derecho cambia ahora. Vale. Voy a llevarla hasta acá. Aturde muy bien y puedo mordisquear. Vamos a hacer una prueba. Necesito... Ah, mira. Me han mandado a hacer con 2 y mordisco. Igual. Un mordisco. Lo mismo. Ya tengo sangre llena y poco abajo. Estamos al 100%. Bien, me gustó. Vamos a entrar ahora sí. Sangre completa. Sí, aunque el mazo hacía 600 de daño y cacho, pero sí me gasta mucha resistencia y es muy lento el ataque. Tiene sus pros y sus contras. En teoría ahora somos como más ágiles.
So Priwen never left Doris's theatre after they invaded. They must be holding Edgar here in their new headquarters.
Somos del nivel. Ese sujeto y yo. Tratar de sorprenderlo. Pues ven. No creo que vengas. ¿No vas a dar nada? Míralo, ahí lo tiene. Achis, achis, achis. Hasta abajo, ok, ya entendí. Bueno. Vamos piso por piso recorriendo. Espero encontrar algo de valor, algo de utilidad. A ver, me dan ganas de probar las estas de... Estas, las de absorción. A ver qué panchos hacen. Igual y hasta me conviene mejor estas mejorarlas al máximo y... Estoy seguro que absorbe, ¿no? Ah, sí que absorbe, no, pues conviene más esto. Van a ver por qué les digo que conviene más esto. El aturdimiento solo me da para meterles un buen mordisco, que también funciona bastante bien. Bueno, eso sí, pensándolo bien, esto solamente me da sangre. Con esto los puedo aturdir y meterles un buen mordisco, que también aparte de darme sangre, da vida y además hace daño. Entonces creo que estamos bien con este. Eso adelante. Ahí me cura vida y aparte recuperamos sangre. Ah, vaya, llegaron tus amigos. Contigo. Paliza. Allá, mano. Curamos sangre y curamos vida aparte.
I cannot enter.
Este hombre está aquí abajo.
Doris Fletcher was about to become a disaster. I'm getting close to having all the evidence.
Informante de Maculum. Oh, me dieron un suero fuerte. Eso sí vale la pena. Creo que el escenario es aquí. No. No, es esta de acá.
It's locked, all right.
¿Es donde lo tiene?
Sir, no civilians allowed.
¿Qué? No te escucho. Déjame ver con estos aquí. Estas son. Vale.
I cannot enter. Blood of a pure heart, garlic, blood of a king. I should find the key to that box. It's locked.
Caballero vampiro. Vale, no vamos a leer esa nota porque se supone que es la que no podemos leer. Entonces nos da igual, ya tenemos el arma. Pero realmente realmente lo que importa creo que es el coleccionable.
It's locked, all right.
Ok, es de este lado. Es aquí.
Edgar.
Pobre hombre.
Edgar, can you hear me?
Jonathan, is it really you?
Easy. Easy. Save your strength. I'm getting you out of here.
Don't try to spare me. As a physician, I know all too well when it's too late. punctured lung, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. An accurate diagnosis, wouldn't you say?
Edgar, what happened?
They wanted me to confess. Beat me black and blue.
Jeffrey McCullum ambushed me at the Pembroke Hospital. He was convinced you and I were responsible for the Skal epidemic.
I never imagined that self-righteous fanatic would dare to attack us in the open. What became of him?
To prove him wrong, I let him go.
Really? You sure that was the wisest course of action?
Time will tell. The most intriguing part of his accusation was that you and I were the pawns of some ancient vampire.
William Marshall. Yes, they tortured me to make me confess the same nonsense.
I trust you, Edgar, but the Guard of Priwen is onto something.
What do you mean?
William Marshall, for example. You speak of him as if you know him. How is that?
Jonathan, I cannot say I'm ready for another round of questions.
What can you tell me about William Marshall?
Not much. History paints the story he was the greatest knight who ever lived. Amongst the immortals, he had a yet greater legend.
Why is the Guard of Priwen so obsessed with him?
He was the only ancient vampire to escape the first great hunt launched by the Guard of Priwen in 1854. They believe he's an evil creature plotting his return.
Why would he deserve such a reputation?
Eso es interesante.
I cannot say. The Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole has next to no intelligence on him. All I know is that he's supposed to be the oldest of all the British vampires.
Es el mismísimo Drácula. Británico.
Why would the Guard of Priwen believe you and I created the vampire epidemic?
Maybe due to our profession. Because I offered you shelter in my hospital.
While investigating the epidemic, I read some of McCullum's findings. I think you have some explaining to do.
I have nothing to hide, Jonathan. Nothing at all.
Do you know Doris Fletcher's real name?
No, I'm afraid not.
Her real name was Doris Jones. She was the daughter of Harriet Jones.
What do you want me to say, Jonathan?
Do you remember when we suspected Sean Hampton of killing Harriet Jones?
Yes. The terrible episode that came as a shock to us all.
Harriet Jones faked her own death. When I found her in the sewers, she confessed she wanted everybody to pay for what happened to her.
That woman was extremely bitter, full of hatred and festering anger.
Doris Fletcher visited her mother at the Pembroke Hospital. That's how she first got infected.
I know nothing about that. Miss Fletcher once came to visit the sick. That is all I know.
No, Edgar, there is more. Doris Fletcher was Harriet Jones's daughter. They exhibited the same symptoms: blind hate and strong physical mutation.
What does this sad story have to do with us?
Do you know where we are? Doris Fletcher's theater. This is where that hateful creature plotted to spread the epidemic across London.
I only briefly met Miss Fletcher once when she visited the Pembroke Hospital. You say it was to see her mother. She seemed like such a sweet and graceful woman.
My point exactly. The disease turned her into a bitter soul, driven by vengeance just like her mother. A symptom of all the infected patients.
Certain diseases are known to produce similar effects. Rabies, for example. And rabies is not the devil at work.
Come on, Edgar. Don't you see the pattern here? The epidemic, the link between Doris and Harriet, the suspicion of McCullum?
How could I? I never saw Harriet Jones again after she fled the hospital.
Doris and Harriet shared more than a hidden family bond. They were the embodiment of the epidemic and are linked to the Pembroke Hospital. Come on, Edgar, this is no coincidence.
I swear I'm at a complete loss. All I did was administer vampire blood to cure old Harriet. There was no evil plan, no diabolical plot.
You did what?
I tested the regenerating and healing properties of vampire blood on Harriet Jones. My only intention was to find the cure for influenza, I swear.
Whose blood did you use? William Marshall's? Mine?
Lady Ashbury's. While transfusing her with human blood, humanely appeasing her hunger, I also kept samples of her blood for my research.
You used her blood on Harriet Jones? My God, Edgar, that's unethical. You betrayed 2 of your patients at the same time.
How dare you judge me? Must I name the alarming list of your victims?
We are both deceivers. But at least I know I'm a monster.
You have worked beside me. You saw what I'm doing at Pembroke Hospital. Jonathan, you know I'm not an evil soul. Just another victim of this tragedy.
Híjole. Vamos a convertirlo.
No, Edgar, you are not going to die. Unless you want to.
What do you mean?
I can save you, Edgar. I can turn your broken body into one like mine.
You truly would? After all I've done, after all that's been said, you would offer me this gift?
Pues,
I have no way of knowing which punishment would be worse, Edgar. But it is not for me to decide. So?
Oh, please, Jonathan, please. I beg you. This is what I've always wanted. This is what I've always searched for.
Very well, then. Prepare to die and be reborn. To face an eternity of guilt.
I'm ready. Oh, indeed, I am ready.
Enough!
Vale, no sé si fue bueno o malo. Hay que hablar con Lady Ashbury. Por allá llegué, ¿no? Sí. A ver.
It's locked, all right.
Hay que ir a su mansión. Sí. perdimos 3000 puntos de experiencia por eso que hicimos, pero creo que valdrá la pena.
Not a steady boy!
I have it. I can now open the box.
¿Llave flamante? Creo que podemos abrir la... ¿Qué es esto? Ah, era una rata. No, no quiero rata. Espérame. Creo que puedo abrir la caja fuerte esta. Que estaba... Aquí. No. ¿Sigue muerto?
I really don't know if I should read this.
No, no lo vamos a leer. Vámonos ahora sí ya. Tenemos que ir a hablar con Lady Ashbury.
Return later. So Harriet Jones became the original carrier when Edgar gave her vampire blood. I must tell Elizabeth.
That's gonna hurt!
Estoy gustando sangre al ejército. Vamos a hablar con mi lady. En su mansión. Vamos a hablar con my lady. ¿Dónde está? Está arriba. No hay nada que robar por aquí. Sí, cómo no. Diario personal. Ahorita lo leemos. A estar diciendo puras cosas buenas de nosotros, que nos aman.
What good fortune brings you back to me, Jonathan? What is it, my dear?
Traidora.
I'm afraid it's bad news, Elizabeth. The worst, actually.
Please, speak up.
Edgar is no longer in McCullum's grasp. I resolved that matter.
Where is our good friend now? Is he well?
Of a sort. His injuries were mortal. I had no choice but to make him one of us. To save him, or to punish him.
To punish him? I fail to understand. And what is the source of this cold tone in your voice?
Edgar Swansea was responsible for the Skull epidemic, Elizabeth. It was he who unleashed the deadly scourge upon London.
What? Are you certain? This is the most terrible accusation of all.
He confessed everything to me. He sought to cure the disease, to exploit vampire blood to stop the epidemic. But he unwittingly gave birth to a catastrophe.
All those poor victims. How could he do it? What happened?
Edgar's behavior was beyond lunacy. He had neither the discipline, knowledge, nor the proper facilities to conduct blood experiments.
I must say I'm shocked, Jonathan. Who would have thought it?
Si tú
And the
sabías,
poor patient.
Juanita.
Let me guess. It was Harriet Jones, was it not?
Yes. That explains how Doris Fletcher was infected, and how she became an Ichor. She secretly visited her mother at Pembroke.
Then we have no choice. We must act quickly, Jonathan. We must return to the sewers and put an end to the threat poor Harriet embodies.
I have one more matter to discuss with you. Harriet Jones was the primary case, but do you know what a healthy carrier is?
There is a tone in your voice that frightens me, Jonathan. What are you trying to say?
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your
Wait!
enemy.
No! Elizabeth!
Se nos fue, chicos, se nos fue viva la muchacha. Ah, vieja loca. Que ya ahora tenemos 3 misiones, muy lejos una de la otra. A ver, reunir los ingredientes para el antídoto. Necesitamos una gota de sangre de William Marshall, del florero. Del Lord Redgrave, del güey el que se siente muy chucho. Obtener una gota de sangre de Rey Arturo de Geoffrey McCollum. Buscar insulina en la vieja morgue del hospital. Esas no van a ser tareas fáciles porque seguramente va a haber enfrentamientos que son muy divertidos.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Está loca esa mujer. ¿Cómo se va? Tienen que deseo su sangre, pero podemos superarlo juntos, mi amor. Vale, primero... no sé. Enfrentamiento con el vampiro.
Now would be a good time to blend the recipe Marshall used when he fought the disaster. I think I know where to find what I need.
Vamos a darle crán al alacrán del vampiro.
Is there anything to connect me to this?
You can let your guard down.
Whose blood could be purer than that of William Marshall? Lord Redgrave will have to spare me a drop.
You are not welcome. Women's right to vote is only the first step.
Ah, vale, lo tenemos que encontrar. Va a estar ahí adentro metido. El problema es de que no soy bienvenido ahí, no me dejan entrar. La mujer rata. Ah, para que se pueda. Vamos a luchar con varios vampiros a la vez seguramente.